Hello, my name is Jenny. Welcome to another episode of the Slow Knits Knitting Podcast. If you just joined my channel from my last roundup video, I'm so happy that you're here, and here is a regular podcast episode. It's been a minute. I haven't filmed in quite a few months, so I do have quite a few things I want to share with you, so let's get started. I have 2.5 finished objects and 2 whips to share with you. We're going to start with what I'm wearing right now. This is the Dirty Caramel sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, or Kutoa Kika. She is a very popular designer and YouTuber, and I think there are a few of her patterns that are very, very popular. This one is not one of those super popular ones, I think. So you don't see a lot of these ones. This was part of her first book, which I have. But all of those patterns are sold separately right now. I've only seen a few color combinations of this sweater because a lot of people, they did replicate whatever the original design looked like, which I was not very into the original color scheme. I like it. I just don't want to make something like that. So even though I have the book, I have the pattern, I never really considered knitting this pattern until I saw Kirsty Glass, her version. She actually wore that to Rhinebeck last year, but I didn't see her in person. I love her color choice. And because of her version, I was more drawn towards this pattern, and it made me want to start it. This one, I use all kinds of, not leftovers, but like single skeins. I have a lot of single skeins of yarn. So it's a combination of all kinds of stuff. I can't really name exactly what all the yarns are. And I also did a bunch of modifications. So here is what mine look like. Here's what my bottom look like. I added some color work, and then I also added color work here. Okay, let me start with the top one modification I made. Originally, I wanted to start with this blue yarn, which is a very, very soft brushed cashmere yarn. Super soft cashmere and wool blend brushed. So it's kind of like a mohair. Initially, I started with this yarn and I started with ribbing, but because this is a very, very soft yarn, it cannot hold the weight of the sweater. Even without the weight, even just knitting the ribbon, I can feel that this yarn cannot hold the weight at all. It will just be stretched out and there won't be any structure to it. So I ripped out ribbon in this blue yarn, and I decided to, instead of starting from ribbing, which is how the pattern designed it to be, I decided to cast on from here, and later I pick up to knit the ribbing. Because a lot of these yarns aren't this kind of mohair yarn, they're not very strong. They're also very, very thin. So I decided to pick up for the collar later to give it more structure and integrity. I'm very happy with that choice. And so that's the first modification I did. The second one, this pattern, same with a lot of her older patterns, there are no short rows, or there's no depth difference. And I wanted to add it myself. And because I'm starting from here, so I started maybe here. With every row, I increase to cast on more stitches until I got to maybe this point. And then I cast on these many stitches to be the front. And then I start knitting in the round. So I created, my dog is going crazy there. I don't know how much you can hear. So I created a little bit of, okay, my dog is going really crazy right now. Chasing her tail, having the best time. So I created a little bit of depth. And as I was doing that, I'm doing this pattern. This pattern is 1x2. I believe this is a 1x2 pattern. So it's a fairly simple thing to do flat. That does help with the depth, even though it's still not the best. You can see my back is still slightly low. And how I can tell my front from back is from looking at these lines. So when I see that they're quite short, I know they're the front, and then when it's the back, these lines are longer. So that was the second modification I did. When I design my own things, or when I pick colors for color work, I don't start with a whole plan. I don't plan out what color I'm going to use. I just go with the flow. So I started with this. I thought these two colors would look really good together, because when I have the two yarn look together, they look so, the contrast is beautiful. But once I start knitting, because of this pattern, I think the contrast doesn't look as good. This coral color actually got washed out a little bit. I actually don't love it. I also don't love this brown that I use. It's an alpaca yarn I use, and I just don't love that shade of brown. I'm very picky with my specific shades, like warm or cool tone. Like, I'm very picky with that, and I don't love this shade of brown. So when I got to this point, I was actually not sure about this color scheme, but I just kept going. I just kept going with what I want it to be. I really like this red and blue contrast, so I started red here. And then I also really love this red and green contrast, so I started doing red and green, and I love green and orange contrast. I think my least favorite part is using this pink yarn, because this pink yarn is way thicker than the rest of these yarns, so it made it very uneven and messy looking, but I'm still fine with it. My favorite part is actually this little section. I love this orange and this light tan-ish color, and this blue and this dark brown. I love the four. That's why I repeated these four colors on my cuff, because I love how these four colors look. Yeah, so that's how I just went with the flow and picked the next yarn when I get to that section. So the next modification I did is I stopped the color work here. There is another chart that's about this wide. I skipped that just because I like this balance. I still like this kind of yoke, like the color work is on the yoke kind of balance, instead of, or I like color work all over. I don't love when the color work is this much and then it has this much plain color. It's not my favorite. But at the end, at the bottom, I still really like adding a little something. I believe this is from some other pattern, or it's just some wavy. I don't think this is the original design of the sweater. I just added these wavy patterns at the bottom, and then I used this red color to be my cuff. And because I love this section so much, I repeated this at the cuff. So these bottom cuff color work is not what the original pattern looked like. And the last modification I made is I changed the sleeve design. I think the original, honestly, when I follow a pattern, I stop after I finish the yoke, and then with the rest of the body and sleeves, I just don't even look at the pattern anymore. I just decide however I want it to be. So I don't know if I even remember what the original sleeve design looked like. I'm pretty sure it was straight down, because it was a pretty wide sleeve. Oh, I also used I knitted the smallest size, but my gauge is completely different, so I'm pretty sure I just went with my own numbers. That's usually how I knit patterns. I just modify it to be whatever works for me. So I can't remember exactly if I even follow the stitch count overall. So anyway, I can't say if the original sleeve is straight or not. But what I decided to do is I've always had this pattern from Lily Kate France. I test knit one of her patterns before, and then I got gifted one of her patterns, and I picked this one. I've always loved this, she called it bishop sleeve design. So the sleeves, it's not narrow, but it went from a slightly more narrow and then a slowly increase. So I took her sleeve design from that pattern and put it into these sleeves. It's a little subtle, but I think you can still see it. Before, I still had my stitch marker. With the stitch marker, it was more clear to see when I started increasing. Basically, I started here, and then every certain number of rounds, I increased. And I did 4 of those rounds. So it gradually went out a little bit. And I really like balloon sleeve. Yeah, it looks really good like this. I really like balloon sleeve. So I like the sleeves to be big and then cinch in. So that's exactly what I did. And I'm very, very happy with this sleeve choice. So that is everything for my dirty caramel sweater. I really can't tell you much of these because a lot of these are just random little like mohair or mohair substitute yarn. The only thing I can tell you for sure is I finally, with this main color, I finally got to experience the famous combo of knitting for olive merino plus knitting for olive mohair. So that's what this main color is. I'm really happy with my main color choice. I think by the time I got to here, I think this color work is working. I like it. But then I really have to make the main color right to bring it all together. And I think I have achieved that. I think this is the perfect shade of brown. It's not too yellow, not too red, not too gray. It's a perfect shade of brown, and it really brought everything together, give it a really retro vibe. So this is dark cognac. Both the merino and mohair from Knitting for Olive is in the shade dark cognac. I do like this shade of brown. It's a very neutral brown, so I think this is a shade that can go with a lot of things. And plus I get to experience this combination. I do agree. I just saw somebody talk about this. I do agree this combo is a pretty thin combination because the merino is 50 grams, 250 meters. And the mohair, I don't remember, just a typical mohair. And with that combination, I'm pretty sure I used 3.5 millimeter needles. And I think this combination, I could go up to 3.75, or if I wanted to be very, very loose, I might use 4, but I definitely think this is a pretty thin fabric. This is probably one of my only very thin, lightweight sweater, which I've been loving and I've been wearing a lot. It's perfect for my spring weather right now. My only other thing that's kind of like this is my the brown Calliope sweater, which I talk about it in my last video, and I count it as a top because that one is very thin, but it's smaller. It's a less positive ease, so that one cannot really be wear over like a baggy shirt. For example, right now I have a very baggy shirt underneath. This is more like an actual sweater versus that one is a top, but their fabric is about the same weight. So I think that's the kind of fabric that Knitting for Olive merino and Knitting for Olive mohair creates. A very lightweight, I would say it creates a sport weight kind of thickness. I don't think it's a DK weight sweater. I think I've knitted DK weight sweater. It's much thicker than this. This is definitely a sport weight kind of thickness, you can see. So it drapes great. It's a perfect like spring / fall kind of sweater. I've been wearing this a lot and I'm definitely very, very happy, very satisfied with this sweater. I do recommend this pattern, but I have to say, before I started this pattern, I did not know. If I knew, that might deter me I didn't know there are 3 color rows in this design. I thought this looked like a very basic, simple color work, traditional color work design. So I thought it would be easy, but there are, see, these rows has 3 colors. These rows has 3 colors. These rows has 3 colors. So there are several sections where it's a 3 color work, which I did not know this before. I'm a little intimidated by that, so I'm glad I didn't know. If I knew, I might not do it. But now that I've experienced it, it's not my first time trying 3 color. I've done it before, but just in smaller section. This time is a slightly larger dose of 3 color. I haven't found the best way to do 3 color work. 2 color is still definitely my favorite because I hold 1 color left hand, 1 color right hand. So 1 color I do continental, 1 color I do English. But with 3 right now, what I do is 1 color continental because continental is my usual style, and then I don't drop that yarn. But with the other side, English style, because I drop the yarn anyway, so with the English side, I have 2 colors, and whenever I need to use one, I drop the other and use that one. It's slow, and it's also not, the yarn management is not the best, but this is my experience so far. Next finished object I have is this simple raglan, fluffy raglan cardigan, which I've been craving a simple thing like this for a long time, but I'm not a fan of basic patterns, basic designs, stockinette cardigans or stockinette sweaters. I've never done a full-on stockinette sweater, I don't think. But I was craving it a little bit, and I really want to use this yarn combination. So this was my first cast on this year. This was I started this last year, so I finished it this year. This is my first cast on in 2025, and I think this is also my first finished object in 2025. Because I already have this yarn combination prepared last year, a long time ago. I did a swatch, and I've decided on this yarn combination. So I was just really excited to get started. From the photo or video, you cannot really see the details of the little color pops on here at all. It just gets washed out a lot. But on the wrong side, you can kind of see the color a little bit more. Yeah, if you look at the wrong side, you can see the little dots of color a little more. So what I use is 1 strand that look like this. This is a Explore Knits and Fiber Rocky DK, and the colorway is Extra Sprinkles. I thrifted that yarn. And then the fluffy yarn I use is Drops Melody. Yes, Drops Melody. I love Drops Melody because I just wore my other cardigan. This is only with Drops Melody. And this is a brioche cardigan. I was just wearing this yesterday, and I forgot how much I love this. Even though it looks like it's not appealing, this is just how the yarn is. It's a very soft but very thick, fluffy yarn. So think of it as a very, very thick mohair, except for it is alpaca, so it's very soft, for me at least. This is what Drops Melody look like. It's a very thick yarn. So because this is already quite thick, and then I paired it with a DK yarn, so this is a quite heavy. It's actually heavier than what I like now. But like I said, I did this swatch a long time ago, maybe at least a year ago. At that time, I was more into larger gauge, like slightly thicker yarn, and I was less experienced with using very, very thin yarn and thin needles. So that's why I paired them together. If I were to pair them now, I would have paired the DK yarn with a standard mohair, which will bring it to a heavier DK. And then I will pair Drops Melody, which is already pretty thick yarn. I'll pair Drops Melody with like a lace weight, very, very thin kind of yarn. So this thing combined, I think this is at least Aran weight. Heavy, heavy Aran weight kind of combination. I think this cardigan is quite thick. And I used 5.5 millimeter needles. I actually had a little trouble because when I thrifted these Explore Knits DK, I got 4 skeins of these yarns. I was really excited because it was such a good deal. But somehow I just lost 2 of them. I just could not find them in my home. I don't know where they went. Maybe there are some yarn monsters out there. So I was doing yarn management. This is a very quick knit because it's thick. So it was supposed to be very, very fast, but I was doing yarn management like crazy. So I knit this is a raglan. So I knit the body all the way until maybe here, and then I stop on the body, and then with the same ball of DK yarn, I start to use one end to knit one sleeve, and knit it all the way until I used half of that ball of DK, and then from the other end of the same ball, because I don't want to cut it, I don't want to waste any yarn, from the other end I start knitting the second sleeve. I was trying to see if it's possible to only use my 2 skeins, which that will only be 400 something meters. And then at the same time, I went on Ravelry. I look at everybody who listed they have this yarn, and then I look at everybody who already used this yarn for their project and they have leftovers, because I think that's it's a higher chance that somebody with leftovers might be willing to sell it. If I still have like 3 skeins, 4 skeins, I don't know how much I would need for my project. I don't think I would want to, sell it. So I messaged everybody who has leftovers, and then several people got back to me, but I end up buying the leftovers from one of the knitters. I'm very thankful for that. So I got extra 44 grams from her, which made it perfect. I end up knitting the sleeves much longer because with whatever I have left, the sleeves are just a little too short. It doesn't create this kind of slightly balloony effect. When it's too short, it just doesn't look right with the ballooning sleeves. So I was able to knit my sleeves longer. And with cuffs, I did not use the DK yarn. I just used the fuzzy yarn with another like finger weight. Same with the bottom. I knit it pretty long, ribbing at the bottom, and then with button band, I knitted a double knitted button band. And I think what made this cardigan from pretty good too, I love it, are these buttons. I got these when I was back home in China, and these are ceramic buttons. I love them so much. They came in a set. It was a set of 5. Yeah, it was a set of 5 buttons, and they're just the most happy, bright, happy colors. I have a 5th one. I have a buttonhole here. I haven't put on the 5th one. It's because I struggle with this. Please give me your advice, or tell me if you also struggle with this. I do not know what kind of needle to use to put on buttons. I really don't like putting on buttons. I don't know what needles to use. So for these, if it's a very small button, then they have very small buttonholes. Then my darning needles are too thick to go through the holes. So I have to use, if I don't have, my only options are darning needles or sewing needles, which is like, sewing needles look like this. And I have to use sewing thread, which also look like this, which I don't like to work with. I just don't like the experience of using sewing thread to sew buttons on my knits. This time, luckily, I used Drops Melody, and I think it looks great with Drops Melody. And I was able to use my thinnest, my smallest darning needle, I was able to push it through these buttonholes. But I was only able to push through the 4 of them. Like I said, these are handmade ceramic buttons, so everyone is unique. My last button, my 5th one, I just could not push the needle through. So I haven't been able to put on the last one yet. So please let me know. I just need to find something in between sewing needle and darning needle. I need a very, very thin darning needle, which I have yet to found. Yeah, let me know your experience. So this is my second finished object. I'll put on a photo. Oh, by the way, sorry, I didn't mention this. I didn't use any pattern. It's a simple raglan. I just did my own design. I mean, I just did my own self-drafted raglan pattern. I'm very happy with the fit. The fit is slightly snug for how thick this is, because I feel like, at least for me, if I wear something that is more snug, most likely it's gonna be a thinner kind of fabric. And thicker fabric for me feels more like a outer over something. But this is quite snug, so I actually do wear it buttoned all the way up. I didn't put a button here, but it ended up looking quite good without any button here. And this is a double folded ribbing. I haven't done it wearing it open. I just wear it all the way buttoned up. And it fits great. It looks great. I'll show some photos. It is very warm and soft. I definitely got a lot of wear out of it since I finished it. Back in maybe February when it was colder, I was wearing this a lot. And I love this. Now it's a little too warm for this. Next, I have my third half finished object. If you know me long enough, you will know I always procrastinate on armhole ribbing or armhole band. So that's the situation with this one. This is another self-drafted, free-handed pattern. This is a chunky mohair sweater vest, crew neck sweater vest with pretty chunky mohair, using pretty big needles, so you can see it's slightly see-through but not too much. I used 7mm needles for this one, and this is a hand-dyed yarn by my friend. She's a knitter and a dyer based in China, and I bought this from her when I was back home. So you can see there's a little bit of variation in there. It's slightly stripy. I think this is the most stripiness I like. If it's more than this, I would think it's too zebra-y, but this is still fine for me. So I bought 2 skein. Every skein is 50 grams. 50 grams, 125 meters. And I bought 2 skeins from her. And I still have this much left. So this is the yarn. It's just a chunky mohair. It's wool mohair and a little bit of nylon or polyamide in it. And my friend actually used like 9mm or 8 or 9mm with this. But I think 7 is already a pretty decent gauge for me. I don't want it to be too holy, so I used 7mm, which I'm pretty happy with. This is a pretty simple standard top-down design, and I like it a lot. I think I would definitely use the same pattern and make more of these mohair-y vests. I love it a lot. I've been wearing this a lot because not only I wear it as a top, like same thing, like all the way button up, maybe just have like a cami underneath and wear this as a sleeveless top, which I love. Or when it's really cold, if I'm wearing a jacket and I think the jacket is just slightly not enough, I also put this underneath the jacket, and because it's mohair, it's very lightweight. So it's a nice warmth, layer of warmth underneath a jacket. So I really like this kind of lightweight mohair vest. I'm definitely gonna make more. How I did it is, it really was very freehand. I didn't even measure anything. I just start with the back, however many stitches, and then I did increase on each side, and then I knit and do underarm increases until this length. As you can see, it's quite long, but after I add the ribbing, it'll be perfect. And then once I got to this point with the back, I pick up the front. And then I knit straight, and then I start increase for the front. I start this front increase, and then I continue knitting straight, and then do armhole increase. And at this point, I connect the two front pieces and the back pieces. I just knit straight down until I got to this point, and then I switched to 1x1 ribbing. And then I picked up for the button band, and I did, I think it was a 1x1 ribbing. Yeah, I did 1x1 ribbing button band, and then I also did 1x1 ribbing neckband. And I'm really happy with this. I just went to Mexico City 2-3 weeks ago, and on my last day, I just ran into a button shop, and I picked out the perfect buttons for this vest. So these are some buttons I just got in Mexico City. It's so perfect. I'll post photos of my outfits with this. Maybe I should get started on the armholes. But until then, this is still a very wearable, very cute top. I love this yarn so much because it is a perfect warm shade of pink for me. I think it's quite hard to find a good shade of pink because a lot of pinks are too cool tone, and I can only work with pinks that are very warm. So I think this color that my friend dyed is perfect. Whenever I hold it up, this is the most accurate color. But after a little while, it starts to turn more coral. This mohair is not the softest, but I guess I wanted to mention it with this too. When I first started knitting, I tried mohair once, and I realized I'm just way too sensitive for mohair. I cannot do mohair. They're too prickly, too scratchy for me. So I stopped touching any mohair for 2 years maybe. It feels like it's been 2 years. Until recently, I start to realize my tolerance for rustic yarn or for scratchiness or itchiness really has grown a lot over the years. That's why with this one, this is the best chance for me to try out knitting for olive mohair because the mohair is only in the bottom part. Usually my most sensitive area is here, and then it's my back. My back is very sensitive. So even though my arms, I can still feel it. But it's more bearable. So I decided to try out this mohair and give mohair another chance. And this is my second time giving mohair a second chance. Now, I think at least not conclusion, but what I think right now is, it seems like I can do mohair. Sometimes. Some mohair. Maybe I can do it. This one is definitely a bit prickly, but I was able to wear this as a top over a tank top. Same with this one. This one is totally fine, except on hot days when it's quite warm. I definitely feel this mohair a bit more on my arms. But when it's cooler, it's totally fine. But I definitely wouldn't say knitting for olive mohair. I definitely wouldn't say it's very soft. Nothing can compare to alpaca for me. I just realized I have another whip. No, I have another finished object. Okay, this is my last finished object. I was going to a music festival, again, the same one I went last year. And last year, I also didn't have too much time to prepare for it. I ended up crocheting a top, and it was semi-finished. The back was not the best. The front was okay. This time, I had the same amount of time, but I started sooner. I thought about it for maybe 2 days to decide whether I want to knit my own top. And then I was looking for inspirations. I finally landed on this kind of design that I was envisioning. And it was a pretty quick design, because with if it's backless-ish, it'll work up pretty quick. And then I was trying to decide what yarn I was going to use. I end up choosing this shiny yarn. This is one skein, like 150 gram, that I just got when I was back home to just try it. This is actually a pretty nice yarn, other than the shiny bits. It's a wool and cashmere blend. It's a really pretty beige, I mean, what is this color called? I forgot. It's a really pretty, this color, and it has shiny threads throughout it. So overall, it does look pretty shiny. And I start knitting it. At first, this was a little swatch. After I swatched it a little bit, I was like, this could be my top. So I just started knitting it. And this was maybe just 30-40 minutes of knitting. And I realized this is probably too small for a top. So I decided to restart with more stitches. And I was debating between using hand knitting or using my knitting machine, you know, the central, the round one, the really basic one, not this knitting machine, but this knitting machine. I think that knitting machine is about the same as a 6mm needle. This is a 6mm hand knit. I end up decide to use that, which I appreciate. It just saved me some time, and it made me finish my top 3-4 days before the festival. It just make it more chill for me. So this is what the knitting machine came up with, and this is my hand knit 6mm. Overall, I still think the gauge is about the same, but my hand knit is way more even than this machine knit. I think it's because I didn't hold the yarn, I didn't hold the tension evenly. Maybe if I hold it very evenly all the way, it'll look better, but overall, I definitely like my hand knitting over this machine. This machine, it's not my favorite. I don't use it a lot. Ever since I got it, I played with it. It's just not my favorite. I don't love this look that it creates. But this is perfect for the look I was going for. So I just knit up a square. I was going for a square. After the square, my vision is to put it on a necklace like this. I'll show a photo because it's hard to see what it looked like right now. So a necklace holds one end of the square up, and then the top will go like this. Basically, the top goes like this. And I debated if I want to do some kind of tie, or just use another chain or necklace to tie the back. At the end, I feel like using a tie is still the best, because if it stretch out too much throughout the day, I can tighten it. But in reality, what happened that day is I didn't have to tighten it at all. It went pretty well. It didn't stretch out. It stayed put the whole time. How I did the tie is I just pick up stitches at one corner of this square, and I knit it. I didn't knit too long. I just knit 2 little straps. I started with this strap, and I was knitting stockinette, which you can see it rolls up. It curls up. And then my second strap, I was like, why did I knit stockinette? I could have been doing 1x1 ribbing this whole time. So my second strap was 1x1 ribbing, and you can see it lays flat. It's great. So yeah, that is my quick little music festival top. I was pretty happy with this. I'm pretty happy with this outfit at the end of the day. So that's another quick whip. This yarn is great. I still have a little bit of it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. So before I was thinking maybe I'll rip this out and use this yarn for something else. But because it's only 50 grams in total, I don't think with all of this combined I can make too much. And I quite like this top I made, even though I don't think I would really wear it. I don't know, but it was a very successful outfit, and I was very happy with it. And I actually was very happy with this design, with this necklace. You know, last year I did a halter kind of top, also with a necklace. So that halter was this kind of shape. But this one, because the necklace goes here and then it goes out, and I really like this kind of shape, the outline. So I think I might knit another top with this kind of design for more coverage and less see-through. I'm excited to try out. So now we finished my finished objects. Now we're moving on to whips. I only have 2 whips. One is another one I cast on immediately after I came back from my trip. It's because I bought this Tweety yarn when I was visiting one yarn store in China. And they told me there's no name or tag. This store just sells all kinds of mysterious yarns. And they told me this is British wool. It's quite thick. I would say this is an Aran weight yarn. And I was having this vision, so I immediately cast it on. But now I'm slightly growing out of this vision, so I'm not super motivated about this. It's also my own design. But I still got a lot done because this is a great stockinette to knit on when I'm watching movies at home, things like that, when I don't have other stockinette to knit on. This is my only like mindless knit right now. So this is what I have so far. I have quite a lot. So the vision is, this is a drop shoulder. It's a quite wide, oversized drop shoulder. And then I'm going to put, this will be like a quarter, not zip up, but like a button kind of situation. And then I'm quite far along the body. I think I just need a few more rows of body, and then I will do ribbing. I decided to buy this yarn is because there was a sample knit up with this yarn at the shop, and I really like what the sample looked like. That's why I bought the yarn, because if I only look at this, I probably won't really go for this color. But as I'm knitting it up, my favorite is these Tweety bits that are a bit orange. But as I'm knitting it, as you can see, there are more white bits than the orange. So I'm also slightly disappointed with the tweediness of this yarn. So overall with the design and the yarn, I'm just not that into it anymore, but I'm still working on it. I washed the top half just to see how the yarn goes, and then the yarn softened up a lot and really melted together after I wash it. So I can see that this will be a very comfortable, oversized, throw-on kind of sweatshirt almost, which is what I was going for. So I'm excited to finish it. Plus I think I'm close to finishing the body. And this is what I was saying earlier. I'm not into stockinette, plain stockinette knits. So I'm already very, very bored with this design. As I'm knitting the body now, I was thinking, why didn't I add cables into this design. This Tweety yarn will look great with cables. Why didn't I add cables? Stockinette just looks so boring to me. So with the sleeves, I might add cables. I also might add some cable pockets over this body to just add some more fun into this. So yeah, that's my first whip. It's been a while, so this is kind of a longer term whip. As you can see, I'm not super excited about it. I also don't want to give up on it, so it'll just be more of a long-term knit. The other one is the main whip I've been working on lately. It's been a while. I've been working on this a lot. This is definitely the thinnest yarn I've ever used and the smallest needle I've ever used. This is on a 2.75 millimeter needles. And this yarn is also, I bought it from somebody's D-stash. So there's very little information on this yarn. The label says it's a silk and cashmere blend. But to me, it feels mostly like a silk yarn. And I don't know the meterage. I only know that it's very thin. Based on my experience with knitting for Olive, like 50 grams, 200 meter kind of thickness, I'm guessing this is at least 50 gram, 300 meter. So 100 gram, 600 meter. Or even more kind of thickness. And this is a top that this is my own design. I do like it a lot. Now that I'm almost done with it, I think I might actually turn this into a design and then make another version of this because I do like it a lot. I like this yarn a lot. You see this beautiful drape is very thin. My original idea, this is the idea. My idea with this top is that it can be worn both sides. One side I want it to be a scoop neck, like this. And the other side, it's like a boat neck, like this kind of very elegant look. And then the rest of the body is just stockinette and a little bit of, quite a bit, not a little bit, pretty long ribbing, and then I added scallop edges to the end of the ribbing, and I love it. When I tried it on, this scallop edge looks so good. I'm really happy with it. I've always, when I see other designs with scallop edges, I always want to try it. Finally, this is my first time trying it, and I love the results. It looks really good. So I finished the body. I already added the neck band. Right now I'm working on my first armhole band. So as you can see, this is the armhole, double knitted armhole band. I'm working on the first side. This is what it looked like. This is what I'm working on. I actually came up with my own method of doing this kind of double knitted button band. You know the traditional method is you first pick up around whatever, whether it's button or it's this kind of armhole, you first pick up all around it at whatever rate. And then you cast on however many stitches, and every stitch you combine the picked up to these stitches. But I'm pretty sure I can say that I invented this, my own method. I actually do not pick up. I pick up along the way. And then I've done this several times. I've done it with this cardigan. I've done it with my white vintage vest. I've done it with, basically, I've done it for over a year. Everything when it's double knitted or picked up button band, I use this method. I don't pre-pick up. I pick up along the way. And this time I changed it even more. So this time I found an even better, even more seamless flat method to knit up this band. So this is what it looked like, and I do think it looks quite seamless and polished. I'm quite happy with this. Yeah, so I think in the future I'm gonna film a little short videos showing how I do it. It's essentially the same thing, you just don't pick up, you pick up when you need to combine them together. Yeah. And with this scallop edge, at first I was just doing my own thing, like how I imagined how the short rows will go. I tried it and I didn't look that good, so I decided to YouTube some videos. I end up watching this person's video. I'll link it down. I really like her video, so I highly recommend her video if you want to do scallop edging. I also really want to recommend trying different kinds of ribbing. So because this is like a silk yarn, so it acts like a plant-based yarn. So plus it's very, very thin. So you know, sometimes when you do one by one ribbing, they might look not that neat. It just doesn't look that good. I think especially if you're doing it flat, it might not look that neat. Knitting around might be more neat. Anyway, when I was swatching, I was knitting flat and I tried one by one ribbing. It looks a little messy. And I tried 2 by 1 ribbing, which is what I did. And I think it looked way more neat compared to 1 by 1 ribbing when it comes to plant-based fiber. So this is two knit stitches and 1 purl stitches, 2 by 1. I think it looks very nice. So that's an idea if you're using plant-based fiber and you think your ribbing looks very uneven. Maybe you can try 2 by 1. And if you want to get a very, very defined ribbing look, you can try 1 by 2, which is the wrong side, what the wrong side look like. So this is what 1 by 2 will look like. As you can see, if you want this kind of very, very defined columns, maybe you can try 1 by 2. That's also an idea to try out, especially with plant-based fiber, or if you just struggle with it looking very neat, or when it's very, very thin yarn. I notice, I think with chunky yarn, it's easier to get neat ribbing. With very thin yarn, it's slightly more challenging. So that is my main whip at the moment. I actually have an idea for a set. So I've always wanted to knit myself a dress from my first year of knitting. I've had the dream for a few years. I never did it. This year, I started early. So I think knitting a top and a skirt separately is more wearable than knitting just a dress, because I can wear this top separately, I can wear the skirt. It's just more possibilities. So that's my vision for this. I'm almost done with the top, and after that I'm going to knit a skirt. And because this yarn is so thin, and I think I just don't feel the best when my skirt is really thin. I have like a silk skirt. You know, a lot of silk is very thin. And whenever I wear that silk skirt, I just feel a little less secure because the fabric is way too thin. So I'm thinking, because my top used so little of this yarn, I still have a lot. I'm thinking for the skirt, I might hold this yarn double. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for my set. So this is my main whip. And I started very early on my dress goal. So hopefully by summer, I'll be able to have my own dress. Now, the last thing I want to share is I want your help with picking up a yarn for my next project. I signed up for a test knit, and it is a baby knit because I want to knit a a dress for a friend. The designer is Samantha. I've actually test knitted for her, and that was my very first test knit when I first started knitting, and I knew nothing. I signed up to test knit her super complicated cable design, and I did not finish it. This time it's a little baby knit, and I'm very excited it'll be my first baby knit. I'm excited to knit this up and gift it to my friend. My only thing that's stopping me from starting is I don't know which yarn to use, so I want your help. I did a little digging into my stash, and I also thought about what yarn is the best for a baby. I'm gonna knit the 1 to 2 year old size, just because I think bigger is always safer. I think the best case scenario for yarn is definitely a superwash merino, which I have this one. This one is one that I got from Portugal when I went there 2 years ago. This is from a Portuguese brand, Rosario's 4, and this is called Merino Land. It's a baby yarn. It literally has a baby on it. It's a superwash merino, finger weight, 50 grams, 250 meters. So it's a perfect fiber, and I have the perfect amount. I have 3 balls of this. So it's perfect amount, perfect fiber. My only concern is I don't know if gifting a blue dress is the best for a baby girl, just because I think a lot of baby girls are wearing pinks or red, and the mom is also somebody who likes pink. So I don't know if it were my own baby, I would definitely make my baby a blue dress. I think it's totally cute. But because it's a gift to a baby girl whose mom loves pink, I don't know if they would not prefer a blue dress. They would prefer a pink dress. I really don't know. What do you think about this? Let me know. My other option is also a soft yarn. Is this orange, which I do like a lot. I have paired this orange with drops brushed alpaca. I've had this for so long, I just couldn't find something to pair with it. I finally decided that this is my swatch with all kinds of different stitch pattern. I finally decided that these two combinations might look pretty good together. But if I'm using this orange for the baby, then I'll just hold this single and it'll be a burnt orange kind of little dress for a baby girl. What do you think about this? It's not super baby girl, but I don't have any pinks or red. I think ideally if I have a pink yarn or a red yarn, I'll just go for it. I'm not sure about this one. And then when I was digging, I also found this hand-dyed, what is this called? Boucle. I found this hand-dyed boucle that looked like this. It's a very springy color, soft, springy color. I have no idea. I feel like this is more of a wild card. So please let me know what you think about baby knits. What should I do? So these are the 3 options that I have from my stash. If I could knit from my stash, that would be great. If none of these is ideal, then I'll just have to go buy something. If I buy something, I'll just buy a red one or a pink one. Also, what do you recommend as a good superwash merino finger weight if I want to knit it for a baby? I know Samantha, her sample, she used Knit for Olive merino for her baby, but she's a knitter. I think for non-knitters, I still think a superwash is probably the best. I'm slightly leaning towards this blue just because I can do some white edging that will make this blue more cute? What do you think? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please let me know any thoughts you have. Please let me know what you are working on, or what's your favorite knits lately, or what's something you're very excited to cast on. Until next time, happy knitting. Bye.